it in the things that matter to Kenyans, because Treasury, of course, is very important because you really are the bearers of the budget across board. But Kenyans interact very closely with the Treasury only during the finance bill, the budget process. But where things really matter, you walk into a health facility. As much as you're saying Duale is doing very okay, but Kenyans have serious challenges with SHA. Look at fuel. Today we are talking about cost of oil and prices. And these are things that really matter to Kenyans. I know that we are flipping this from the DP to now the
because I wanted to answer because
it is important that we go that way.
Yes, please.
Maybe if I quickly answer that, I don't envy the position of the president when it comes to the issue of deputy presidency. It's very difficult. You are caught between a rock and a hard place. You would want to placate the ODM side of the divide. Of course, my only challenge to that the ODM of Raila is not the current ODM. ODM, our politics is still personality based. Even UDA by far and large is because of the president in a big way. You still have to give that credit. Same with ODM was Raila, Uhuru was Jubilee, DCP is Rigathi. If one walks out from the party becomes a shell. So that's a reality. So I understand his careful balance of not seeking to completely dismiss ODM, but at the same time also be realistic with the fact. Let me give you the danger here. If you completely take out the deputy presidency position from Mount Kenya, you know what that does? You've given ammunition to Rigathi.
Okay.
Absolutely. They'll say, look, this is exactly what I've been telling you for 2 years. And that we've been, in fact, he said we delivered 43% of the vote. So we've been taken, our position has been taken. In fact, he said, I kept saying these ones are Gagunias. Sasa, look, they have become traitors, then they have been lost.
And if you take it away from what one would say, that shell of ODM, right? They would equally say, this is what we wanted. We are here. We helped you run the government. If we do not get it, we're equally out and we would go to competitors.
And that's why I've said it's between a rock and a hard place. Except for me, there's always a silver lining.
Which is?
Look at the most potent issue the ODM Linda Ground are grappling with. Top of the agenda is not the deputy presidency, it's zoning. Because that speaks to their individual interest. This is now where it matters for them. Gladys Wanga is seeking to be re-elected as a governor. Peter Kaluma seeks to be elected as an MP. Those are ODM strongholds. That is where they have always known. It has always been known since 2007 that you get ODM ticket, you are as good as elected, right? For me, that is more personal to them than the deputy presidency. That I strongly feel their push for deputy presidency is posturing, but the main card they are holding is, okay, fine. If you are to let go of this deputy presidency, which we deserve because we have 40% or 50% of the coalition with UDA, then okay. Non-negotiable, give us zoning in Luo Nyanza. That's what I feel they are pushing for. I actually think the push from the ODM Linda Ground is mostly towards zoning rather than the deputy presidency. It's a negotiating tactic. If I came and said I ceded, what are you ceding? So UDA will say, okay, fine, we are ceding this. So UDA will also, and DA has been doing a lot in Luo Nyanza through the principal secretary Raymond Omolo, Akina Evans Kidero. They are now coming back. How again do you balance with them? How do you tell them that the work you've been doing 3-4 years, no? This is out of bounds. We've already let it go for the others. That's why I say I don't envy the position of the president. But the beauty, the president thrives in that space. If you look at his style in 2022, look at the competing side, because these were the two giants of politics, Raila Odinga and Ruto. Raila Odinga decided to forestall such fights by actually appointing names to future cabinet positions, where he said Peter Munya would be agriculture, Oparanya would be finance. Why was he doing that? It was to ring-fence these individual personalities. William Ruto did the opposite. He decided to open, in fact, the danger with the Raila style was there was no more new promise to give. It was already known so-and-so will be minister, so-and-so will be minister. So the doors were closed. What did William Ruto do in the opposite? He opened the doors and the windows. Whoever was hanging, he was picking. Let me ask you, what was the value of Alfred Mutua? Still picked him. What was the value of JB Muturi?
He was a party leader.
Mount Kenya was already in. But JB Muturi was told, you're in. And he gave everyone, up to Amason Jeffa Kingi. Kilifi was a stronghold of ODM, and Baba was still there, and they actually still swept. ODM swept everything, almost everything.
And Amason was also a party leader.
That's what I'm saying. The style then for William Ruto then in 22 was, I don't discriminate, I don't care. You may say you are not having clout. For example, Ukambani was mostly Azimio, yes, but Alfred being a party leader, I'll still pick. And he kept his word by giving them position. So I feel he will have to use the same wisdom now that he's caught between a rock and a hard place. So on one side, he has to balance the Mount Kenya interest, Mount Kenya East, Mount Kenya's combined, because within Mount Kenya fight between there's the so-called central versus east, and then again you have within the broad-based within, and this is not the end, because the more we go to the election, I kid you not, coalition will have to expand. It is like, I've just used a simple analogy. This is like a polygamous union. Now the father of the house has to keep referring to the older wives that, look, tunaleta mwingine lakini tutasongeana tu, tutatosheana hapa.
Wakili, I want to look at, as we move towards 2027, we have to look at the new kid on the block.
Yes.
And we have to look at the young vote.
Absolutely.
And we have to look at the numbers that do exist. And right now, everyone wants to jump on a Tuko Kadi. They've been told to stay away, but everyone is jumping on a Tuko Kadi, because they recognize the numbers